mothers.
In the U.S. Congress, 435 representatives, 61 are women. 100 senators, 17 are women.
Dans le château Richter, tu vois par tous les noms sont féminins. La terreur, l'épouvante, une panique, une frayeur, une vague, la crainte, une angoisse, une inquiétude.
En français, le mot écrivain n'a toujours pas de féminin. L'Académie française n'autorise toujours pas les mots écrivaine et auteur. C'est peut-être parce que seulement 4 femmes sur 40 membres siègent à l'Académie.
En español, la palabra femenino es una palabra en masculino.
In the English language, all words designating objects are of neutral gender.
Money in society, people treat me like a daddy. You're only a slave to me, can't escape me. Or maybe I can try to pay attention to your stories, like I feel forts. And this is not a tour. I like to build forts and big forts. You can't fight the universe, it's everyone around you. My power will astound you, spreading like the swine flu. Coming back at you, my friends and me. We go to school, you see, it's called ISB. We have an exhibition of girls and boys. ISB grade is all one voice. Now come on, everybody, make some noise.
Hi, my name is Emerson, and we are the Stereotype group. This is Taya, and this is David. During this, I was working on stereotypes around the world and how stereotypes are influenced. A stereotype is not necessarily true. It's what we think about a group of people.
As Emerson said, I'm Taya, and I've been working on hypersexualization and how boys and girls from different cultures attract attention to themselves.
I'm David, and I've been working on how different age groups are influenced by stereotypes. Now we're going to start with our PowerPoint presentation.
Stereotype group.
I found that one of the biggest influences to hypersexualization are beauty pageants. So I watched an episode of Toddlers and Tiaras and took notes. Parents bribing daughter with gifts, mom against daughter, sister against sister, girls with wigs, fake tans, fake nails, fake eyelashes, showing a lot of hair. Here are some quotes from Toddlers and Tiaras. I will be competing against my daughter. I used to show dogs, now I show my kids. And we need to get a fake tan to hide all the imperfections. Cultural differences, France and America. There is less hypersexualization in France because they are already discussing some measures to prevent it when it hasn't really reached it yet, like bringing back the school uniform, or you may not compete in a beauty pageant under the age of 16. No measures to prevent hypersexualization in America. There's a lot more hypersexualization in America than there is in France, but they're not doing anything about it. Questionnaire results about hypersexualization. I handed out a questionnaire to some people, and here are some of my results. 0 boys would get surgery to change the way they look, and 3 girls would. 0 people would follow an inappropriate trend, and 7 boys do things would lie to get attention, and 4 girls would lie to get attention.
Thank you, Taya. Problemática con los estereotipos en España. En España, era entrevistando 120 chicos dentro de los años de 12 y 15. 3 de 4 chicos no son cómodos con cómo se miran. También los quieren adelgazar y las chicas están confundiendo los mensajes de la sociedad. Y los chicos quieren músculos y no están respetando la edad de crecimiento. So basically what I said is that in Spain, these reporters interviewed 120 kids in between the ages of 12 and 15. Now, 3 out of 4 kids aren't comfortable with how they look, and the girls want to get skinny and they're confusing the messages from society, and the boys want muscles and aren't respecting the growing age. So when girls mess up messages from society, basically they go into hypersexualization or they stop eating and they can get very sick. And when the boys aren't respecting the growing age and they try and, work out, the cartilage in their bones stops functioning, so they stay small and they don't grow, and they think that, oh, I need to work out more, so and they just stay small. Stereotypes in different country schools. Pakistan. A schoolgirl told reporters that girls and women are like a white handkerchief. Even the smallest dot of black ink will be very noticeable. And in Pakistan, the girls are very invisible and stuck in the shadows by obeying their teacher's every word and working very hard. In Seychelles, a boy told reporters that men are very lucky because they do not have to deliver babies. In Seychelles, the boys see themselves as protector, provider, smart, brave, intelligent, and the girls see themselves as physically weak, needing protection, yet they also see themselves as mature, multi-skilled, and responsible. But the teachers in Seychelles said that the boys were loud, lazy, and disruptive, and the girls were more positive students.
Okay, so in the first picture, it's on the visit to the kindergarten class, pre-K class, to see what games they played, and it's in French first, so. La première photo montre... j'ai vu que ce n'est pas seulement les filles qui jouent avec les maisons de poupées. Comme vous pouvez voir dans la photo en bas, c'est un garçon qui joue avec la maison de poupées. Même s'il ne joue pas vraiment avec des poupées, il joue avec des animaux en plastique, c'est mieux que rien. Les filles et les garçons jouent très séparément. Dans toutes les photos, il n'y a pas de filles et de garçons qui jouent ensemble. La plupart des garçons jouaient à des jeux un peu violents, même si on ne dirait pas, dans tous les jeux qu'ils jouaient, ils avaient des trucs qui se combattaient et ils faisaient semblant d'avoir des pistolets et des trucs comme ça. J'ai aussi vu que certaines filles jouaient à la maman et au bébé, et c'est un peu comme s'ils se préparaient avec le stéréotype que seulement les femmes prennent soin des enfants. So, I pretty much said that not only girls play with dollhouses. As you can see in one of the pictures, there's a boy playing with a dollhouse. Even though he's playing with plastic animals, it's better than nothing. Boys and girls played very separately. In all the pictures, there were no boys and girls playing together. And most of the boys were playing games where there were things fighting and they were pretending to have guns. And some of the girls were playing mom and baby, and it's kind of like they were preparing to face a stereotype that only women take care of children. So the second slide is what preschool children think about stereotypes. Many 2.5 to 3.5-year-olds think that girls play with dolls, girls clean the house, are weak, and will become a nurse or a teacher. They also think that boys play with cars, build things, are strong, and will grow up to be the boss. So that's the end. Wait, no, we have the conclusion, and then that's the end of our PowerPoint presentation. So, conclusion.
Stereotypes can influence people with sometimes negative results like hypersexualization.
My conclusion is that stereotypes are not always bad, and sometimes they help us figure out who we are.
My conclusion is that different people of different age groups all react differently to stereotypes. And that's the end of our PowerPoint presentation.
Now, let's move on to our skit. There are some parents in this skit, and none of these characters were based on anyone. Welcome back to TED News. Since we've been studying stereotypes, there has been some interesting people with exquisite information. So, during our research, we found out that parents are the biggest influence to a child's behavior. We went to the International School of Brooklyn to ask some parents how they raise their children.
Hi, y'all. I'm Ashley Jones. Yeah, that's right. My husband owns the Jones Bones Burial. My daughter is pregnant, and it really brings in more money for anything she wants. And she can buy more full furs. She loves pink.
Ouais, je suis Brad Harley. Je lève mon fils pour faire de la lutte, du football, n'importe quel sport que tu peux nommer. Sauf pour le cricket, le tennis et le softball. Ça, ce sont des sports de filles.
Hello, I'm Lillian Perry. My daughter is the best child in the world. She's an A-straight president of student council, speaks 5 languages, and has read over 3,000 books in her life.
I, Jessica Drew, has an awesome daughter. She is so artsy. She's won the Children's Da Vinci Award twice and is illustrating her own book.
Now, let's go to the parents with a different raising method.
Even though you put me out of my afternoon yoga, I will still answer your question. My daughter Delphine does boxing and ballet. I raise her to be peaceful. I raise her to be kind.
Hi, my name is Roger Smith. I raise my daughter to do what she wants to do. I think she's old enough to make her own choices. Bye.
Hola, mi nombre es Violet Zolted. Tengo 4 niños. Zach con 16 años, Charlie y Annabeth con 12 años y Jack con 7 meses. Yo quiero que ellos se luchen por lo que crean. Si a ellos no les gustan estereotipos, eso es ok. Pero si les gustan, yo quiero que ellos estén cómodos con estereotipos. Solo quiero que luchen por lo que crean.
Bonjour, je suis Ken Flair. Mon fils fait du chant et du théâtre après l'école. Et son meilleur sujet à l'école, c'est l'écriture libre.
Boy, wasn't that interesting? So, we will be having a poll at the end of the week. Please put in your answers as soon as possible. Thank you for watching TED News. TED News, TED News, TED News, TED News. TED News!
Single-sex education. I started researching this because I found an article talking about how single-sex education is starting to return. These are parts of an interview of Samantha Murphy, the creator of an all-girls day camp called Curious Jane. The camp is for 1st to 6th grade girls and was created in 2009. The camp builds confidence and self-esteem to face gender stereotypes, and the girls don't have to compete with boys in male-dominated subjects. The girls can try new things without worrying about what other people will think. I think there is value in having a gender-affirming environment, says Mrs. Murphy. Here is a graph which shows the number of math and science items purchased for kids by parents in 1st to 6th grade. As you can see, in every grade, boys have a significantly larger amount of items purchased for them. Does this mean that parents are helping make math and science male-dominated subjects? This graph connects to the interview of Samantha Murphy because in Curious Jane, they do a lot of science. This means that they are fighting the fact that science is a male-dominated subject. Here's what some people think about single-sex education. The people that like it think that single-sex education can break down gender stereotypes. Like in Curious Jane, girls don't have to compete with boys in male-dominated subjects, and boys can pursue more feminine interests, such as music and poetry. And there are less distractions from the other gender. People against single-sex education think that it reinforces gender stereotypes, and that there's no real science behind it. There's less opportunities for boys and girls to work together and interact. Garrett Waits, a 10-year-old from California, even said in a Time for Kids magazine debate that mixed-gender schools make going to school more fun. Now I will talk to you about an article in French that I found in the French magazine Le Journal des Enfants. Ces dernières années, on a l'impression de retourner en arrière avec les clichés. Il y a des clichés partout. Dès la naissance, c'est rose pour les filles, bleu pour les garçons. Et dans les magasins de jouets, c'est les poupées pour les filles et les gros Nerf guns pour les garçons. So I pretty much said that these past years, some people feel like we've been going backwards with stereotypes, and that there's stereotypes everywhere. Right at birth, it's pink for girls, blue for boys. And in toy stores, it's dolls for girls and big Nerf guns for boys. It's not easy to stop stereotypes in a society that imposes them. Voilà une photo de Riley, une jeune américaine qui est devenue célèbre pour avoir exprimé son opinion. Elle a dit dans un magasin de jouets, ils essayent de piéger les filles avec des trucs roses. Elle ne comprend pas pourquoi les jouets sont séparés en deux sections, pour les garçons et pour les filles. So, this is Riley, a young American girl who became famous for expressing her opinion. She said in a toy store that she doesn't understand why toys are separated into two sections, for boys and for girls. So, here are pictures from our field trip to the toy store FAO Schwartz. We went there to see the differences between toys for boys and toys for girls. Here is a picture of a Lego set for girls. The Lego company started making these because they thought that girls might prefer these kind of Legos. There's pink and purple bricks, a really peaceful setting, like a little house or something in the grass, and many times there's a princess. I mean, I'm not really sure what's wrong with normal Legos for girls not to like. So, this is another picture of a toy train set. I personally think that it should be for boys and for girls, but I observed that there were practically only boys playing with it. Here is a picture of princess dolls in pink dresses. These dolls are probably targeted toward a younger audience, well, towards younger girls because they tend to prefer that kind of thing. Last but not least is a picture of makeup kits for girls. I don't really think it's normal for there to be makeup so early in a girl's life. That connects to Taya's subject, so on to Taya.
Stop à l'hypersexualisation. Voilà un article que j'ai trouvé sur le site du GDE, Journal des Enfants, sur le retour de l'uniforme à l'école. Dans l'article, ça dit que si l'uniforme revient, ça pourrait aider les enfants qui n'ont pas les habits de marque à se sentir mieux d'eux-mêmes. Mais si on ramène l'uniforme dans les écoles en France, ça pourrait aussi aider contre l'hypersexualisation. Voilà des photos que j'ai trouvées sur ligne sur l'hypersexualisation. Cette fille, elle a des shorts très shorts et un t-shirt qui dévoile le nombril. Là, elle a des talons très hauts et une jupe courte. So, I was saying to the French that I found this article that's talking about returning the school uniform to schools in France. And in the article, it says that kids could feel better about themselves even if they don't have designer clothing. But if they decide to bring back the school uniform, it could also help against hypersexualization. Here are some images I found on hypersexualization online. This girl has really short shorts and a shirt that shows her belly button. And this girl has high heels and a short skirt. Ici, j'ai des poupées et je les ai montrées pour montrer que les gens essayent déjà de mettre une image dans la tête des petites filles de comment ils devaient ressembler et s'habiller. I chose these Barbie dolls because they are dressed kind of inappropriately, and it shows that people are already trying to put an image into little girls' heads about how they should look and how they should dress.
So that's the end of our poster and the end of our presentation.
girls across the nation. We need to take action for girls across the nation. We need to take action for girls across the nation, nation, nation. Hello, I'm Sam, and we're the Gender and Professional and Political Organizations group with Ella, Maxie, and me. Ella's been focusing on jobs dominated by one gender. Maxie's been studying salary discrimination, and I've been researching gender issues in the military. So without further ado, we're going to start off with a talk show. So, today's topic is gender and professional and political organizations. And let's introduce our first guest. Well, actually, no. I might do good to say that we have two guests coming in today. And the first of them is Ella Zalotsky. Thanks for being here with us, Ella.
It's my pleasure.
So you were studying professions dominated by one gender and how that's changed over time, correct?
Yes, I was.
Why this topic, Ella?
I was interested in equality in the workplace because a lot of people might say, for example, that more women are teachers than men. I wanted to see if it was true.
What was the favorite part of your research?
I love my questionnaire on kids' future occupations because it really confirms and contradicts a lot of stereotypes.
How does your topic relate to gender?
My topic is a big part of gender studies because it's not some stereotype like girls like dresses, it's how men and women work. And there are a lot of injustices for both of them.
So now that we know a little about your topic, I believe you have a PowerPoint?
Yes. Thanks for coming, everyone. I'm Ella, and this is my PowerPoint focusing on my topic, gender-dominated professions. Gender and professional organizations, sugar and spice, and professions, it's not all nice. How has gender and professional organizations changed over time? Over the years, men and women have been working in fields dominated by the other gender, such as architecture, movie production, science, and politics, male-dominated, or teacher, nurse, singer, and stay-at-home parent, female-dominated. Those are only a few of the main examples. Questionnaire. How does gender affect our career choices? I did a questionnaire to the kids at ISB, inquiring them into their future career choices. It really confirms and contradicts many stereotypes, such as more girls wanting to be a model, confirming a stereotype, and more boys than girls wanting to be an entertainer, contradicting a stereotype. Data about male teachers. During my research of teachers, I came across this website all about the percentage of male teachers in the U.S. Below, I made a pie graph to represent the percentages better. As you can see, it is a female-dominated profession. Entrevista con Oscar. Entrevisté a Oscar, un profesor de ISB, y descubrí que le gusta enseñar mucho. Descubrí que le gusta enseñar mucho. Oscar cree que es una profesión dominada por mujeres, pero para él es una profesión a la que todos pueden trabajar, mujeres y hombres. Contrato de maestras, 1923. Durante mi búsqueda de maestros, encontró este documento que es un contrato de maestras en España, 1923. Usó esto porque muestra muchas de las cosas injustas para las mujeres en el pasado, como no pudiesen casar, no podían andar en compañía de hombres y no podían maquillarse.
I'll skip to the next one. Women in architecture. I became interested in architecture because my mom is one, and she went to a presentation, and she was the only female architect presenting. Here are a few bullet points to articles I read on women in architecture. According to the Christian Science Monitor, only 10% of registered architects in the U.S. are female. In the past, female architects were overshadowed by male architects of the same talent and skill. Women architects started to become more recognized with their work and environmentalism. Interview with Mason Wickham. I interviewed Mason Wickham, a female architect, to see what her opinion was on architecture. Mason thinks it is a male-dominated profession, but she would never give it up because she feels she has a unique point of view useful for the profession. My conclusion. After my research, I've come to the conclusion of why men and women have started working in professions dominated by the other gender. It all starts with World War II. Practically all the men in the U.S. were drafted, leaving women to pursue jobs that were normally done by men. After the war ended, women wanted to keep working, but the men didn't want them to. Ever since, women have been fighting for the right to work and be who they want to be, just like men. That was my PowerPoint presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much.
And now our next guest, Maxie Hines. Maxie, you were studying salary discrimination in the workplace.
Yes, I was.
So again, let's learn a little bit about your topic.
Help me out. What was my first question?
Why did you choose this topic?
Well, I chose this topic because it's a global concern, meaning that many people have different opinions about it.
What was your favorite part of research?
Well, I learned about many important things. I think one of the important things I learned was where the laws are passed. In 1963, the Equal Pay Act was passed, signed by John F. Kennedy. And in 2009, the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act was passed, signed by President Barack Obama.
How does your topic relate to gender?
My topic relates to gender because it focuses on how men get paid more than women.
So, again, I believe you have a video clip and a poster to show us.
List of the most common jobs for men in this country and the list of the most common jobs for women in this country are two lists that have very little in common, it turns out. The jobs we do in this country, in this day and age, are still sort of surprisingly really segregated by gender. But whether you have an occupation that is male-dominated or you have an occupation that is female-dominated, there's one thing that just about every single job in America has in common. Dudes get paid more for doing it. If you are a driver, men get paid more. If you are a manager, men get paid more. If you are a janitor, men get paid more. If you're a retail salesperson, men get paid more. If you're a sales rep, if you are a cook, a chief executive, a security guard, a police officer, a customer service representative, in all of those cases, men get paid more. In 19 of the 20 jobs that are the most common occupations for men in this country, women lag behind what men get paid for doing that same work. It's also true in the most common jobs that women have in this country. If you are a secretary, men get paid more. If you are a teacher, men get paid more. If you're a nurse, men get paid more. If you're a cashier, men get paid more. If you're a receptionist, a financial manager, if you wait tables, men get paid more. Again, in 19 of the 20 jobs that are the most common occupations for women in this country, women lag behind what men get paid for the same work. Overall, when you aggregate everybody working in the economy in every job, women get paid 77 cents for every dollar that men get paid. For the same work, dudes get paid more.
Okay, and so that was my video clip that I I saw on the Rachel Maddow show about sorry discrimination. So now I shall present my poster.
So, turn it on.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm Max, and my poster is about sorry discrimination. Sorry discrimination is, let's say, an employee gets paid less than another employee because of gender. So, this section is my timeline on sorry inequalities in America and history. And so the first thing I have on my timeline is the Equal Pay Act. The Equal Pay Act was passed in 1963, signed by John F. Kennedy. And it was passed because women were getting paid less than men, and because employees were getting paid less than men because of gender and also because of race. That's what I'm explaining right now. So this is a 1999 annual median earnings by gender and race. White men earn more than black men, and white and black men earn more than Hispanic men. White women earn more than black women, and white and black women earn more than Hispanic women. But overall, men get paid more than women. And so this is the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act of 2009, signed by President Barack Obama. And it was passed and was very useful because if a boss discriminates against an employee, the employee has more time to sue the boss, even if the last paycheck has been like 20 years ago, yes, sir.
I just want to ask a question. Does that apply if the boss discriminates on men as well?
Yes.
All right, that just occurred to me. Continue on.
Okay. So this is my line graph based on the data from FoxValleyLaborNews.com. It shows the increase of women's and men's earnings, but still to this day, men get paid more than women. So this is my section on sorry discrimination in France. And so as a point of comparison, I have looked at sorry inequalities in France. And I will now talk in French, but I will summarize in English. Alors, depuis longtemps, la situation en France montre aussi dans les inégalités en France. Il y a eu plusieurs lois qui ont été passées et la plus importante, c'était la Constitution. Alors, en 2008, les Français ont fait un changement dans le document de la loi la plus importante, la Constitution. Ils ont fait un moment à l'article 1er. Ça dit que la loi favorise l'égal accès des femmes et des hommes aux mandats électoraux et fonctions électives ainsi qu'aux responsabilités professionelles et sociales. So I said in France, the most important law that was passed was the Constitution. But in 2008, they changed the Constitution and they added another amendment saying that women and men can both have equal opportunities to participate in professional and social jobs. Alors, aujourd'hui, au Parlement, il y a seulement 5,6% de femmes et il y a moins d'un quart des députés qui sont des femmes. Et aujourd'hui, au gouvernement, il y a 16 ministres sur 34 qui sont des femmes. I said in the parliament there are only 5.6% of women, and there's less than 25% of who are deputies who are women. And today in the government, there are only 16 out of 34 ministers who are women. Alors, ça c'est mon entretien avec Mme Skinner. Quelque chose qui m'a vraiment frappée, c'est quand elle m'a expliqué la discrimination policy. La discrimination policy, c'est quand il faut signer un contrat qui dise que tu ne vas pas discriminer sur un employé. So I said that I did an interview with Ms. Skinner, saying, and one thing that really caught my attention was when she told me about the discrimination policy. The discrimination policy is when you cannot discriminate against any employee. When you have to sign a contract before you are hired saying that you will not discriminate against any employee and not because of gender or race. And so I have these changing causation questions about sorry discrimination change. How has it changed over time? In 1945, men made up 70% of the U.S. labor force, and today, men make up less than 50% of the workforce. Causation. Why is there sorry discrimination? Throughout history, society expected men to be the breadwinner, meaning the person who made the money. Women worked too, but men would get paid more. This inequality has been going on throughout history and it still continues today. And so this is my take action section. This is me calling my senator to vote yes on the Fair Paycheck Act. And on Tuesday, you could have called your senator to vote yes. You just had to say your state, where you're from, well, where you're living right now. And you have to say, yes, I'm voting for the Paycheck Fairness Act. Unfortunately, this law was not passed through the Senate. No Republican senator voted yes on this act. And that is my poster on side discrimination. Allô? Oui, Mme Dubois, oui, j'ai votre rouge à lèvres, ça va arriver demain, au revoir.
It's a Friday afternoon and Madame Delacour and Mr. Henriquez are about to get their paychecks.
Hola. Do you have my paycheck? Sorry, I always forget you don't speak Spanish. Yes, but in a moment.
Really? Can you please stop listening to every word I say to her?
Said Madame Delacour.
I don't think that's possible.
Stop fighting, you guys. Here's your paycheck.
Wow, $500!
Next, Mrs. Elaine went to Madame Delacour to give her her paycheck.
What? $300? That's so not fair. Thank you for paying me less than Mr. Henriquez. I quit.
What? But you're the only one that ever does all the work around here.
So, Madame Delacour stormed out the door and Mrs. Elaine probably fainted on her chair.
Joe, listen, this woman just got fired. And my boss probably collapsed in her chair.
Yeah.
No. Yes. Oh, Doritos. The $25 bag. I'll call you back, Joe.
The end.
And that was our skit on sorry discrimination. And the word out.
All right, that was fun. Now, as I said earlier, I was researching gender issues in the military, and I wanted to interview myself, but my cloning technology isn't finished yet. So I'm just going to take you on a little journey, mosey on down to 1775 and the American Revolution. Women served on the battlefield as nurses, cooks, laundresses, and they did fight, but only by lying about their gender. In 1861, there was the Civil War. Women on both sides disguised themselves in order to serve, and Dr. Mary Walker received the Medal of Honor. She's the only woman to receive the nation's highest military honor. In 1920, the Army Reorganization Act was passed. This allowed military nurses possible relative status from second lieutenant to major, though without full benefits. In 1948, the Women's Armed Services Integration Act was passed. This granted women permanent status in the Army, Navy, Air Force. In 1967, Public Law 9130 was passed. A 2% cap on the number of women serving and a ceiling on the highest rank a woman could achieve were revoked. In 1973, the first woman became a major general. In 1984, the first woman graduates at the top of the military academy. In 1996, the first woman became commander of an operational flying wing. And in 2008, the first woman became a 4-star general. And it doesn't end there. Why, just a couple weeks ago, Ingrid promoted its first woman to command a frigate, one of the largest ships in the Royal Navy. También en 2007, Rosa María García Malea López obtuvo una promoción para ser piloto de un F-18 avión de combate. Y también oh, did I switch to Spanish? Oh, I'm sorry. I just said that in 2007, Rosa María García Malea López became the first Spanish woman to fly an F-18 combat jet. And now keeping all those dramatic improvements in mind, I'm going to tell you some of the things that women can't do in the military. Women can't join any unit that deals with direct assault missions or goes on the front line. Women can't join the Armored Division, Navy SEALs, or Delta, regardless of the mission they're undertaking. Although it's important to know that in today's kind of modern warfare, a front line is nearly indistinguishable, with men and women often getting hit by landmines and IEDs. Now, there are some reasons why women aren't allowed in the military. Women have less physical body mass than men. Women are considered less aggressive. And since the beginning of our country, women have been considered as weak and needing protection. Also, women are the child bearers of our species. So, now that you know that, all of you think that women should be allowed full military privileges, please stand up. Okay, that's everybody. Now, I was going to ask all of you who think that women have it fine the way it is in the military to stand up, but every single person stood up, so that's not really nice. And if you're neutral, I was going to tell you to just sit down, but
Not everyone stood up.
Ask the question, Sam.
Not stand up. The second question.
the second?
Yeah.
I have a second question?
Yes. Not everyone don't stand.
Oh, but I just did ask the second question.
Sam, just ask it again.
I didn't stand up.
Okay, do you think that women have it just fine in the military the way it is? Please stand up. But I just...
Yes.
Okay, so... Okay, if you're neutral, just...
I don't think you're getting this, but okay, fine.
If you're neutral, stand up. Okay, no one's neutral.
I'll explain.
Explain, please. Explain. Explain, please.
I think that the laws should be equal, but I think that I personally would not want to be on the front lines of any war, and so I'm okay with that. Actually, I don't want to fight wars. So.
Okay, thank you. Just pass, anybody else who wants to say something, pass, just pass the microphone around to anybody else.
So I was going to say that I think that the question is, should the laws, if you agree with the current laws? Yeah, probably should. And so I think that the nuance is that there's some women who don't believe in the draft for women. And that's one of the issues I think that people think should change. Just because, women don't want to necessarily have to go to war, but do want the laws to be set.
All right, so does anybody else want to say something? All right, thanks for being here, everybody. Give a big hand to our two guest speakers. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Je suis un super-héros, j'ai des gros biscottos, je combats les vilains, je suis plus rapide qu'un train, je libère mes prisonniers, les doigts dans le nez, je suis le plus fort et je te combattrai à mort.
Oh, mais j'ai une histoire, juste des femmes, gentille petite dame, que quelqu'un me sauve, j'ai des gens qui m'offrent, je veux ma mère, je ne peux rien faire. Et voilà le cliché, c'est très très mauvais, mais des fois c'est vrai, donc ce n'est pas un cliché.
Escucha con atención, mejor tener determinación porque estereotipación es discriminación. Aquellas víctimas de estereotipación sufren calambres y deshidratación, ya que alguien son, convierten en robots de estereotipación. Estereotipación es discriminación. No olvides quién eres, corazón, pues el robot no tiene razón. Palabra estereotipación, sion.
Hello, we are the Gender and Media Group, or how gender is represented in media. I, Maximilian Bowie, has been focusing on gender stereotypes in commercials.
And I, Louis Chapek, have been focusing on gender stereotypes in comic books.
And I, Isabella, have been working on how role models influence us.
So, first part of our presentation, we're going to show you our slideshow about genders in the media, and specifically on commercials and comic books. So let's get started. So for the first part of the PowerPoint presentation, there's a quote from Dinah Rodriguez that I interviewed. She is an executive producer at Park Pictures, a commercial production company. Commercials are meant to target specific audiences. A lot of research goes into how to best sell products, so everything in a commercial is carefully selected, including when and where that commercial is seen. So for example, toy commercials appear during kids shows. Stereotypes sell because a lot of people believe them. That's why commercials use them to reach their audience. So here are some commercials that I observed while watching TV, well, worst research than you can ever think of. And this is what I've noticed. In clothing commercials, they're mostly always women, but when men are included, women would stand out much more than the men. I think the commercials are trying to show the stereotype, only women care about fashion. Same thing for household product commercials. There are barely ever men, and I think the commercials are trying to show the stereotype, only women should do the cleaning and washing around the house. Here's a commercial I found on the internet, in French. Il y a un enfant avec un t-shirt qui dit « Les vrais hommes font leur lessive ». Cette publicité a été faite par un groupe de féministes ou un groupe de femmes qui vont contre le stéréotype. Et dans cet exemple-là, ils vont contre le stéréotype que les femmes doivent ranger, nettoyer autour de la maison. Mais il faudra beaucoup plus pour arrêter ce stéréotype. So as I said in French, I found a commercial, and there is a kid on it that has a shirt on that says, "Real men do the laundry." it was made by a group of feminists or a group of women that go against stereotype. And in this example, the group of feminists are going against the stereotype. Only women should do the cleaning and washing around the house. But it's going to take a lot more to finish off the stereotype. Now, Louis, you talk.
So now I'm just going to talk a little bit about comic books and why they're considered for boys. So one reason that it's considered for boys is because the authors put inappropriate content in their comic books, and so girls don't really tend to like that, but boys do. So that's one reason why boys read them. And part of that inappropriate content is that the author would often portray women in an inappropriate way. For example, putting them in bathing suits. And that created the belief that girls don't read comic books and stereotyped comic books are for boys. To our day, though, there are girls who read comic books, and if they do, the comic book that they're most likely to be found reading is Tintin. And which really surprised me because during my research I found out that in Tintin the only woman is Castafiore. Alors, de notre jour, il y a des BD qui sont hyper filles, et une de ces BD, c'est Tintin. Et ça m'a beaucoup impressionnée parce que dans ma recherche, j'ai trouvé que la seule fille qu'il y a dans Tintin, c'est la Castafiore. Another comic book that is read a lot by girls is manga. And I think that's because the author would put a lot of girls in manga. And if there are men, then they barely stand out in the story. They're not important in the story. So here are a couple graphs showing the results of a survey that I did of people on my blog. And what really surprised me is that 56% of girls and women surveyed liked comic books. So that's showing a pretty big difference between like 1970s and 60s when it was still considered a boy thing to read comic books. And almost a third of boys did not like comic books. So again, a big difference. So now Maximilian will talk a little bit about car commercials.
Thank you, Lily. That was very interesting. So for this part, hopefully I'll do much better. So stand up if you own a car. Now stay up if you are the one that drives when you go on a family trip. Wow. Okay, now sit down. Now stand up if your first priority when buying a car is the practicality of the car. Now sit down. Stand up if your first priority when buying a car is the engine performance. Yeah. Now sit down. Stand up if your first priority when buying a car is how the car looks. Okay, pretty good number. Now sit down. So the reason I asked you all these questions was because it led into my topic of car commercials, my main research topic. And as again, my best way to research was the worst one you could possibly think of, watching TV.
I love the stereotype girl, and she's just sitting there reading a comic book, and her friend comes up and she says, "You're not supposed to be reading comic books, those are for boys." She starts reading it, and she's like, "Wow, this is awesome." So you can come see it at the end of the presentation if you want, right over here.
And we'll continue.
Okay. As I said again, I'm really sorry about the technical difficulties. So now back to what I was saying. So the reason I asked you all these questions was because it led into my main research topic about car commercials. And as again, my research method was, well, watching TV. And it was really interesting because what I found is that there were mostly men in them, and barely ever women were featured. And when women were featured, it was for a family car and getting the kids to soccer practice. So that led into the stereotype, women don't know how to drive, or women are worse drivers than men. Selon le Figaro.fr, en 2011, 87,5% des accidents ont été causés par des hommes, comparé aux femmes qui ont causé juste 12,5% des accidents. So as I said in French, in 2011, 87.5% of the accidents were caused by men compared to women, which caused only 12.5% of the accidents. So this proves that the stereotype, women can't drive or women are worse drivers than men, is a cliche. Yes, Sam?
How do you know that the women were causing less accidents because less women were driving because they don't know how? How do you know that the women didn't cause the accidents because they couldn't drive?
Okay, back to what I was saying. So, now that I found the cliche, now that I found out that the stereotype was a cliche, I made my own commercial showing that men are not the only ones on the road. So let's watch it. Pay attention to what the kid says.
Dad, how will she get home? He told me women can't drive. Subaru, the car for men and women.
So, as you can see, the kid says, Dad, how will she get home? You told me women can't drive. And obviously the dad was the role model for the kid, because then the kid wouldn't be saying, but you told me. So that leads into Isabella's topic. So let's see her poster. Thank you.
Before you can look at the rest of my poster, you need to understand what role models are. Role models are usually people that other people look up to. There are two different types of role models. The first type of role models are role models they've never met, like musicians or actors or others. The second type of role models are role models you have met, like your parents or your family members or friends. For example, in my family, my dad is my role model because he takes his job very seriously and he's always off trying to earn a living. This leads us on to our next role model. Our next section, your first role models. My research shows that while you are very young, your parents are in charge of influencing you until you are about the age of 2, when you start looking for other resources for information. This leads me to that the parents are in charge of guiding you towards making the right decisions in your first few years. Let's talk about what the responsibility of role models are. Talking about this, let's talk about a fun role model, Elma. I recently watched a documentary, I recommend you watch it, called Being Elma. Elma is a very good role model for young children because he shows them how to be kind and helpful. Now that you know everything that you need to understand my graph, I will explain it. I surveyed 15 girls and 15 boys from ISB who their role model was and categorized them. Boys showed that they had a very large amount of role models that were athletes and family members, while women showed while women or girls showed a more diverse response. Now I'm going to talk about the role models in other countries. I'm going to be saying this in Spanish, but don't worry if you don't speak Spanish, I'll be translating it at the end.
Durante mi documentación me encontré un artículo sobre los anime otaku. Otaku es la palabra en japonés para definir fan. Y anime otaku son las personas que tienen como ídolo los personajes de anime, los dibujos animados de Japón. Ellos se visten y actúan como sus ídolos. Este está pasando en todo el mundo, como en Bogotá, Colombia, donde hay muchos seguidores de manga. En España han llegado a que los niños son los mayores consumidores. Así que hay tantos productos para ellos y muchos de estos productos se refuerzan a los estereotipos. Estos productos te puedes encontrar en la televisión, internet, y los libros, revistas y muchos más. Este nos demuestra que los estereotipos venden. What I just said was that in Japan there are anime otaku. Otaku is the Japanese word for fan. So anime otaku are the people who their role models are the people from anime. Anime is the popular cartoons there. These people dress and act like their role models. This is happening all over the world, like in Bogotá, Colombia, where there are lots of manga readers. I also talked about how in Spain, they have concluded that kids are the biggest consumers, and how there's tons of products for them that reinforce stereotypes. These products you can find on the TV, or the internet, or books, or magazines, or lots of others. This takes us back to stereotype set. My conclusions. From online research, what are role models, your first role models, my graph, the responsibility of role models and role models in other countries, I have concluded that how your role model affects you depends on these questions. Who your role model is, how your role model is represented in media, and who you are. Thank you. Now the fifth graders are going to demonstrate a skit they have been working on.
Have you ever been to Burger King but the food there wasn't good enough? Maybe you should try someplace else. I'm Ronald McDonald and I approve this message.
Mi estilo es el último en Hollywood. Todas las personas guapas no llevan.
Al día siguiente en la escuela,
¿Te gusta mi nuevo look?
Sí, es muy guapa.
¿Qué ha pasado con tu estilo? No pareces tú. Solo estoy siguiendo los consejos de mi ídolo. Solo porque ella haya dicho que esto es lo último, no tienes que hacerlo. Además, pareces una loca. Gracias. Sí, a mí tampoco me gustaba. Pero yo creo que si yo lo llevaba, os iba a creer que yo era nueva.
Sé quién eres, no pierdes tu identidad.
Sachez qui vous êtes. Gardez votre identité. Know who you are. Don't lose your identity.
My mama told me when I was young, we're all superstars. She pulled my hands and my lipstick on, in the dark of her eyes. There's nothing wrong with who you are. She said, 'cause you make it perfect.
One person said they thought they were most like Lily and Curry. And 3 people said, I don't think I'm any of those.
One person said they were Violet Zolzak. 2 people said they were more like Sarah Butterman. 1 person said they were like Ashley Jones. And 4 people were like Penn Claire.
Thank you for coming to our exhibition.